recently I've been trying to share with you that this experience that we have just had together is the most sacred experience I have ever had in my life. And probably, when I tell you that, it probably doesn't do too much for you, maybe. Maybe you think, oh, well, it's not the most sacred experience I've ever had. And I believe you, of course, because to some degree, what we experience as sacred is relative to what we bring to the circumstance. If we, bring a mind full of worries and distractions and a mind full of the mantra of stupidity, that's a whole nother story. You see, and I'll share it with you just because I feel like it. People are born, everybody is born with two mantras happening. The first mantra is the mantra of the goddess, the creator of everything. And I don't say that in a patriarchal Judeo-Christian sense that somebody made something. But in the sense that the goddess has grown from her own substance, from her own essence, and given birth to. That breath of life that is the essence of the goddess is one mantra that we are born with. The breath of life. The mantra that repeats itself and sustains us. The mantra that happens 12 times a minute, every minute for as long as we exist. Whether you use the term goddess or you say the universe, the living force of creation has breathed its life into us, and it breathes that life into us in the form of the mantra, the breath of life. Then the other mantra that we're born with is the mantra that we're gifted by our ancestors. And that's the mantra I call the mantra of stupidity. And that mantra is one that we repeat from the time we are born through the whole of our life. And that mantra I will share with you. I don't have to transmit it because you already have it. And that mantra goes like this. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to me? And it is the repetition of that mantra, of course, that focuses us on all the possible bad things that could happen. And it is from that mantra that all of our anxieties and our stresses and our fears arise and exist for the time that we have a body, and then they dissolve. Then as our body dissolves, that mantra finishes. This sacred experience that we share was transmitted to me by my teacher, who received it from his teacher. And it is a communion of saints, if you will. Again, not saints, I think, in the Palestinian religious sense. Saints in a much, well, anyway. But saints who connect us to the abundance and the possibility that has been present in this life in every era since its coalescing. This communion transcends the limitations of time and space. It's profound. I'm transmitting it to you. To receive it, there has to be some place inside you for it to go. And that's what practice is about. Practice is about dissolving the shell that accretes from the repetition of the mantra of stupidity. We're constantly thinking, what's going to happen to me? Well, it's got to hurt. I don't want to hurt, so I'm going to protect myself. And what we do ultimately with that is end up protecting ourselves from living. Wait a minute. If we're not living, what are we doing here? So we practice. And the practice that we do, the connecting the feeling into our body and into every muscle of our body and relaxing it, the feeling into the energy centers in our body and relaxing them. The rising up of our spirit through the energy centers and ever more deeply opening ourselves to the breath of life that is within us and attempting to express through us, from inside us, an abundance and possibility that is truly unimaginable. We allow our own divinity to start to come out and express itself in the field of our life and reveal itself to us and the world. Who cares about the world? Again and again and again until this experience of life that we're sharing is an experience of profound beauty and unconditional love. Call me crazy, I've been called worse. I think that's pretty darned amazing. And so it compels me, this experience, to move through my day, not struggling with my tensions, and I don't really struggle with anybody's tensions anymore. A little bit, but I have a few special tensions to struggle with. nobody gets out of here alive. But it compels me to move through my day surrendering those tensions, releasing them constantly, and allowing my creative energy to flow. And the experience of that flow is wonderful. And the experience of that wonderful, leads to the expression of inspiration that is brilliant. And increasingly, and this is crazy too, in a world that is totally mad, we see, because of the clarity of our own hearts and minds, the beauty that is radiant in the madness. And experiencing that beauty, we find peace. Now I have to confess, I'm still working on finding peace with John Bolton as the, national security advisor, because there's something extremely insecure about having him in that position. And the idea of war with Iran is not a warm and fuzzy idea. But it is an opportunity for me to quiet my mind, to steady myself in the flow of my own creative energy, and find in that flow whatever brilliance is available to me to adapt to, yet another very unusual circumstance, which is called life on earth. If we really want to change the world, we begin by changing ourselves. And changing ourselves is not a process of psychoanalysis. My personal experience, with all appropriate respect to therapists, because psychiatrists don't talk to people anymore. Psychiatrists have transformed into vending machines. There are 4 buttons. You get a diagnosis, you push a button, it delivers you the appropriate pill. With all due respect, analysis changes nothing. Analysis just can bring us to the point where we decide to change. And deciding to change, we then release tensions and allow our creative energy to flow. Because health and healing exists within us. It cannot ever be imposed upon us, especially by a pill. It is ever present inside us. And the abundance of that health and healing that is available from within us is unimaginable. The healing that is available is unbelievable. It requires us to take responsibility for our state every morning, every noon, every night. It requires us to, it's not rocket science, it's simple, to release our tensions and connect to our hearts and feel honestly what we feel in our hearts, and then let it go, so that we can ever more deeply become aligned with the flow of healing that is emerging from within us, delivered by the breath of life and expressed through the field of our experience as what we call a life. which becomes ever more refined and richer and more beautiful as we hold the space for it to be. My parents were good people. The last 18 years of their life, at least, probably even a little more than that, they increasingly sat in their lazy boys watching TV and slowly allowing that shell that they had spent their lives growing to close completely around them. And I watched them as I visited them disappear into that shell and never to return. Well, that's not true. My mother popped out of it. She moved here and we rocked her world. And it was beautiful. But most people move through this world becoming increasingly self-referential and closed and withdrawn to and from life. And, you know, the point of our practice and the point of being alive is to free ourselves from the mantra of stupidity, immerse ourselves in the abundance and the beauty of the breath of life, and experience, you know, a release of tension that truly allows us at the end of our life to be deeply and completely open and to ascend into, you know, a emergence with the highest heart and mind that is the essence of this universe. I've practiced everywhere in the world. I did the labyrinth at Chartres 20 days in a row. I've done sessions in Japan. I honestly haven't sat with any Theravada Buddhists because they reminded me too much of the Catholic priests that I grew up with. I practiced deeply, extensively in Tibet, Nepal, and India. In lots of places in America. I practiced with the greatest saints that lived in India and Tibet in my lifetime. And I'm telling you that the experience that we share here is the most sacred experience I've ever had. And that experience is available to you to bring yourself to open yourself in, and to receive. And in receiving it, to awaken to a reality that is present, not from outside you that you have to get something from, but a reality, the true reality of this life, which is that we are here to open to that something that is within us that is trying to pour forth from us something astonishing. The only thing separating each of us here from a truly, profoundly beautiful life and unimaginable possibility is 10,000 or so hours of practice. It's just work. It's present for you, and it's up to you to do something with it. Namaste.